I got him out, but the windows are open, so they might be more.
Okay, I'll check. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Oh, it's hot. It's hot. Okay. This one. Just about 33.
Do you live there now? Oh, that's pretty good house. You gonna stay there? All right.
Looking pretty good. Very even. The ridge is going to be a little bit hard to get it perfect, but so far it's actually pretty easy. It just takes a lot of time. And it's still pretty thick. It looks less thick than IRL, but it is it's getting there. So we've got the screw pommel, which is, it's not super comfortable, but I mean, I'd be wearing gloves anyhow. Crossguard is covered with some file work. I kind of lightly polished them, so they are a little bit shiny. The blade is 5160 diamond cross section, and it is very stiff. It is very stiff. It is just, it's not perfectly polished, but I did it a little bit just for, I don't know, so it's shiny. I've called the sword Glint, that's its name, so, I mean, it's got to be a little shiny, right? And I still have not finished the handle. The handle's just a placeholder. It works well enough, but it needs to be just a little bit fitting a little bit better. This one has a little bit of gap in there, and I would like it to be more flush with the pommel. It's not an issue, but I also want it to be thicker because it's basically just a big square rectangle trapezoid. So yeah, I was hoping to get a bone handle, but I can't find any bones, so I mean, bones really smell when you're processing them anyhow. Like you cut through bone and everything, and it just smells. So I'll still look for some bones, but in the meantime, I'll probably just do a wooden handle, and I think I might just leave it unwrapped this time, because most of the really good looking swords always have something that just looks good, because it's a big part of the sword, you know. Like if you have an ugly handle and nice fittings, then it's it kind of detracts from it. So I'm hoping to make a good one. And this is the idea so far. Hopefully some bone, that would be awesome. But the idea is that there's the pommel and the handle don't really match super well because I didn't make it as like a spiral. It's just a circle that is equal on the other side. So I mean, I shouldn't have done this, but I really wanted to try it, so it looks good. So I was thinking of doing maybe some file work or something, or some Dremel, and taking the two the lines here, and then taking one and then going around, and the other one kind of taking a 180 so that they're together, and then doing a spiral around the handle, and then just making it so that it connects to the pommel. Hopefully I can get it so that it looks more cohesive. But so far I am pretty glad about this. Everything fits, very little my dogs are barking. Very little vibration. It's like the vibration basically is non-existent in half a second, and this is much better than my last sword, which had hexagonal cross section and then a really wide fuller, but also it was, I don't know, maybe like this much longer. So it had a much more pronounced distal taper too, and this one is much less pronounced and it's thicker towards the end. So I might still do a fuller because it's not super nimble compared to its size, and I would like it to be just a little bit wider in the blade, even though the point of balance is almost all the way up to the crossguard. It just could use a little less weight in the blade. And if that's the case, excuse me, then I might have to work on the pommel a little bit more because it is pretty heavy compared to the blade. I mean, that's why the point of balance is like 1.5 inches away from it. So I am pretty happy with it. Definitely feels like a dork when I'm, trying to do some HEMA stuff, but I don't really care so long as nobody's around, and it's very enjoyable. So this is the potentially finished, but probably not finished sword, known as glint. And if I work on it, then I might even make a scabbard for it. So it is pretty good. It comes up about 2 inches above my belly button. And I would consider this potentially, now I think it's a long sword, but it's just a little bit short. Like maybe a few more inches, and that would be a little bit better. And something that I kind of realized is that 2 inches, 4 inches, doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a huge difference between sword handling. So, and I think the next one, I'll probably do another hexagonal cross section, unless this one really turns out when I do the fuller, if I do fuller. But I think the next one, yeah, I'll just work on the hexagonal, because the hexagonal is easier, because doing a cross section with a diamond, you have to cut from the flat bar. I do the distal taper first, and then you have to cut all the way down. And of course, historically, they were one bevel, so just one bevel, no secondary bevel, as far as I'm aware. They might have done some of that, but I think when they made them, it was just one bevel, so it is a lot of grinding. And I think next time I'm going to do a hexagonal, and I might do another one that's a little bit bigger. It might even do a montante, if I'm really if I'm ready to go, you know, and I want to make a big sword, I might do one, maybe a short montante or something. So this one is about 3.5 feet, and the nut on the pommel, it goes pretty much down to most of the way into the pommel. So the pommel is a little bit longer than where it is firmly attached, and I did the thread and everything on there, but it's just it's a concern because I don't know how strong these bolts are, but it is, you know, I machined it pretty well. It's recessed, and everything just works good. It doesn't sound nearly as good as the big one, which is kind of disappointing. The last sword that I have, even now, which broke, and I re-willed the tang onto it, so I have my original sword just to look at it. It's not functional anymore because the tang was way too thin. But it's just the other ones, even now, sounds a lot better. And I think it's because the blade is a lot thinner for most of the way down. So this one is just mostly, I mean, it is basically just a steel spike. It's a cool steel spike, but it is, I'm not super happy. I was hoping it would be a little bit cooler, but it's just not quite what I was going for. When I do the handle, I hope it's a little bit better, but it is still pretty cool. It is a higher quality sword than my other one, but one thing that I don't like to admit is that I did normalize this first, and then I normalized it maybe 3 or 4 times because I didn't want to break, of course. And then I did the quench and everything, and I just have, as far as I remember, I did it pretty well, and everything turned out pretty good, and it was straight and everything, but, sorry, the wind just picked up. I just have a bad feeling about this blade. For one thing, after I kind of ground everything down yesterday, I dropped the tip onto the cement and it just rolled over. So it can't be, luckily I didn't overheat the blade or anything, but it is not so brittle that it will break. But it may not be the best spring temper, and of course I'm just doing it by guessing, because I don't have a fucking, 1200 degrees thermostat or anything like that, so, but it is cool. Bye-bye.